Welcome back, sister wives, now, because tonight we are peeling back a layer that Robyn Brown spent years carefully stitching together, the image of the devoted wife, the selfless mother, the woman who just wanted peace. What we are actually watching unfold, however, is something far darker, far more calculated, and far more revealing. For while Robyn has been quietly confessing, sometimes directly, sometimes through implication, that she is deeply unhappy, isolated, and unfulfilled in her marriage to Kody Brown, she is simultaneously inserting herself into her daughter Aurora's relationship in ways viewers across social media are calling unsettling, manipulative, and emotionally invasive. And that contradiction is where the story really begins. Over the last few episodes, Robyn's tone has noticeably changed. Gone is the hopeful language about plural marriage being the dream. Gone are the reassurances that Kody is her soulmate, her protector, her spiritual partner. Instead, what we hear now are heavy sighs, emotionally loaded warnings, and artfully phrased regrets, statements about women losing themselves in marriage, about men not being a financial plan, about how devastating it can be to give your life to someone else too early. On TikTok, one viral comment read, "She's talking about Aurora, but she's really talking about herself," and that observation is critical because Robyn isn't just unhappy. She's rewriting her past in real time. But when Robyn sits in her talking heads and explains how marriage can swallow a woman whole, she is quietly dismantling the very narrative she once invoked to justify her place in the Brown family. This is the same woman who insisted her union with Kody was divinely inspired, spiritually confirmed, and absolutely necessary. She once framed herself as chosen by God, by destiny, by the family, yet now she speaks like a woman trapped by a decision she no longer wants to fully own. And instead of confronting that dissonance honestly, she displaces it onto Aurora, turning her daughter's relationship into a cautionary tale designed to soothe Robyn's own unresolved regret. Meanwhile, Aurora is not behaving like a young woman in peril. She speaks calmly, reflectively, and with emotional clarity. She does not hurry. She does not bristle. She does not lash out. She merely states repeatedly that her relationship is mutual, intentional, and values-based. That should be reassuring to any parent. But Robyn does not respond with reassurance. She responds with surveillance, with commentary, with warnings cloaked as wisdom. And viewers notice straight away. One comment on YouTube, which got thousands of likes, read, "Why does Robyn sound threatened by her own daughter growing up?" That sense of threat is key. Because unhappiness on Robyn's part with Kody doesn't happen in a vacuum, it happens concurrently with her need for control. For years, Robyn's children have been framed as fragile, sheltered, emotionally needy, and in constant need of protection. That dynamic benefits Robyn. It gives her purpose. It validates her sacrifices. It reinforces her identity as the center of her household. Aurora stepping into an adult relationship upsets that balance. It signals autonomy, suggests emotional independence, and to a mother who has built her sense of worth around being needed, that can feel like abandonment. What makes this even more troubling is the timing. Robyn's commentary about Aurora's relationship intensifies precisely as her own marriage appears to deteriorate further. Kody is distant. The larger family structure has collapsed. Public perception has shifted dramatically against them. Robyn is no longer viewed as the innocent peacemaker. She's widely seen as a central contributor to the family's breakdown. And instead of reckoning with that reality, Robyn seems to be grasping for control wherever she can still find it. Right now, that place is Aurora. Social media has been cruel. On Reddit, full threads are discussing what users describe as Robyn's emotional contagion in Aurora's relationship. One post reads, "She's teaching her daughter to fear happiness the same way she fears her own." Another pointed, "Oh, that Robyn's warnings aren't neutral, they're selective. She doesn't talk about communication, mutual respect, or emotional growth. She talks about money, dependency, loss of identity. And those themes aren't random. They are unresolved wounds of Robyn's life choices resurfacing through her daughter." And then there's the irony, the kind that can't be looked past. Robyn cautions Aurora against tying her future to a man, Yet Robyn herself built her whole adult stability around marrying into the Brown family. She warns against financial reliance, yet her lifestyle and security and platform were all facilitated through that marriage. She speaks about finding oneself, yet never allowed herself or her children the space to truly do so outside of her influence. The hypocrisy isn't subtle, and audiences are growing increasingly impatient with it. What we're seeing is not a concerned mom offering guidance. It's a woman quietly confessing that she's unhappy and desperately trying to make sure her daughter doesn't escape the emotional gravity that she herself can't seem to break free from. And that creates an incredibly uncomfortable dynamic, because Robyn's misery doesn't make her insight-wise, it makes it biased. And bias, when aimed at a child's romantic future, can be incredibly damaging. That tension builds and builds, because Robyn never actually says Aurora can't be with the person she wants to. She doesn't need to. She chisels away at it with doubt, with insinuation, through spiritual framing that takes away agency and replaces it with fear. She casts herself in the role of the voice of experience who won't listen to how her experience is not a Cisa's story, but a cautionary tale. Viewers begin to realize that the real confession is not only that Robyn is unhappy with Kody, it's that she may not trust happiness on principle. And in that story, the audience is left sitting in a space of unease, because if Robyn's this willing to project her dissatisfaction onto her daughter's future, what else has she been shaping behind closed doors? How much of Aurora's emotional world has been filtered through Robyn's unresolved pain? And arguably the most uncomfortable question is Robyn protecting her daughter or herself? If this analysis made you uncomfortable, that's intentional, because these dynamics are meant to be questioned, not normalized. So now I want to know what you think. Is this a concern or control? Growth or projection? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this conversation is far from over. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that little bell icon so you don't miss what comes next. Because once these layers start peeling back, there's no pretending we didn't see what was underneath as the talk about. Robyn Brown spirals out of control on the internet. What becomes impossible to ignore is how many times Robyn's words fly in the face of how she acts. How many times she lands the blame squarely on the back of her children, particularly Aurora. The reaction to Robyn Brown is not just an emotional response anymore. It's an analysis of trends. The videos are being slowed down, the quotes are being repeated, and the fans are linking several dots that Robyn Brown had possibly never meant to connect. Because at the very core of all the confluence, the language, and the planning lies a woman whose displeasure in life has solidified into control. I was miserable with Kody may not have been Robyn. What's painful about this dynamic, though, is the way that Robyn incorporates spirituality as a defense mechanism and a tool. Robyn positions the importance of the relationship between the individuals and God, quietly taking the element of personal agency out of the mix and promoting her take as the more righteous one. This isn't an objective view, though. This is a view that creates a hierarchy. Robyn comes across as the woman who knows more, the woman who has the experience that qualifies her as an expert, no matter that the way she's experienced that has left her lonely, scorned, and stymied. The question that the audience is asking, Robyn, is a simple, though terrible, one. Why should Aurora emulate a childhood from a marriage that Robyn DiAngelo appears to be desperate to escape emotionally? The key to an explanation, however, may be found in Robyn's need to shape the narrative's ending. Robyn has been finagling the way she wants to be seen and recognized as part of the family. And now she feels that she has to shape the way Aurora's story unfolds as well. If Aurora's relationship doesn't work, it'll prove that Robyn's been visionary. If it does work, Robyn can say that she was just being cautious. Either way, she gets what she wants. And that's what the audience is protesting. The social media site has also not treated Robyn gently with regard to this issue. Robyn does not want Aurora to be miserable. She wants Aurora to be dependent, is one posting that is being shared extensively on this matter. Misery loves company, especially when company validates your choices, is another posting that has come in on this issue. This is not reaction from armchair critics. This is reaction from people who have watched this family for over a decade. and recognize behavior when they see it. In this case, that behavior is Robyn playing an emotional center while working to sabotage any person who challenges that position. Then, of course, there is the question of power dynamics. Aurora has always been raised within a context where challenging the emotional power of Robyn is simply not advised. Emotional warmth is conditional. Cheering is conditional. Even acceptance is conditional. So acceptance feels like something that has to be worked for rather than simply handed out freely. In such a light, worry by Robyn takes on a significance that extends long past the realm of mere counseling or even just casual commentary. What's particularly interesting is that Robyn never seems to actually be that interested in Aurora's happiness. She doesn't have her students engage in discussion. She doesn't go on to discuss subjects that Aurora feels confident in. Rather, she makes declarations about time and readiness and risk. That's not an encouraging speech pattern. That's a directive. And in combination with Robyn's unhappy marriage, it almost seems less like advice and more like projection. The tragedy here is that Robyn had the choice of a different story to tell. Begins the Night Times blog post from which the following is excerpted. She could have been a smart and inspirational object lesson in the power of truth and the liberation that comes with her genuine confessions and admissions of her lack of knowledge and expertise in many areas of her daughter's interests and pursuits in which she is woefully uninformed or uninformed in whole, rather than what she has ended up with control. Control is a heavy load to bear. The blogger continues, it is a weighty mantle that even the strongest of us can't carry, and the audience is reacting with respect to this imperative with frustration and incredulity and mounting worry. As this is happening, the bigger picture that simply cannot be avoided is that Robyn's suffering in her marriage with Kody is not just a personal issue, but a trickle-down effect. It affects her children. They make decisions about how they see love, loyalty, and freedom. And when a parent's unfinished business is used as a measuring stick in determining a child's life, protection versus sabotage is reflected in very thin lines. Audiences are now watching not for the drama, but for the answers. Is Robyn able to release? Is she able to distinguish her remorse for what happened in her life from her daughter's possible outcome? Or will she continue the discourse on autonomy as peril and independence as risk? These questions resonate profoundly, engaging audiences, not only in the show, but also in the struggles inherent in observing how our mothers, in their attempts not to repeat the same mistakes, can sometimes overlook them. And it's for this reason that this particular plot thread has resonated so deeply. This is now no longer just about sister wives but rather about holding people emotionally accountable for their actions throughout the generational patterns of how control can be presented as care. People are feeling the stress of this because they are experiencing it within their own families, within their own personal lives, or within themselves. Now the conversation has shifted to you. Do you think that the concern that Robyn has for Aurora may be based on love or based on fear? Could it be that she may be protecting Aurora or nurturing her own sense of importance, and therefore, let your voice be heard by leaving your thoughts in the box below. And if this video has clarified things for you, don't forget to like the video and also subscribe to the channel for more updates, which will become increasingly difficult to deny.